Welcome back to Call Me by Your Game. I'm Connor McCabe, the host of this podcast, and on the show, I bring on someone to hear from them about a meaningful or memorable video game from a particular moment in their life. It's a podcast about what makes video games special to different people, and sometimes it's more than just about the game itself. A little bit of housekeeping up top. Is it anything that my guest or I plug on the podcast today? If you want to find a link to said social media, to said sketch comedy show, to said other podcast, there's going to be a link in the show notes. So scroll down and you'll be able to find anything that we are promoting today, including our Patreon over at patreon.com/super NPC Radio. That's the most helpful way you can support the show. If you are looking for bonus video game podcasts from me and the contributors on our network, possibly including our guest today, and you are looking to support us in the financial way, there are a ton of tiers from free all the way up to who knows what's on there. But if you want to find more bonus video game podcasts, check us out at that website. You can see what we offer at each tier. And if anything makes sense for you, we're currently going through Death Stranding 2 on the podcast. So by the time this episode comes out, episode 2 will be releasing in just a couple days at our DJ Toad tier. There's a bunch of stuff there. And that'll do it for the housekeeping. I'll go ahead and introduce my guest for today's episode. It's a special one, folks. Another returning guest and a favorite of the network. Please welcome sketch master and artist Michael McCollor. Welcome back, buddy.
Oh, how you doing, Connor? I'm so glad to be back.
This is great. You know, I kind of gave you a little bit of this spiel before the pod, but I really like having, some past guests back on the show. Was going through my Rolodex, and I had a Michael McCollor whole shape in my little heart and on the schedule. So I'm glad this worked out. You're no stranger to the show, but here you are, just seasoned at this point.
Yeah. I remember the first time coming on this show being so nervous. I had never met or interacted with you before. I was scared, vulnerable. It felt like I didn't. Am I going to have anything to talk about in these with a Resident Evil game? And you know what? I feel like it went okay, but now I'm a pro. I'm like Solid Snake. I'm back in the field. I started smoking. Everything's going great for me.
You are grizzled. It's great, dude. I'm so excited to have you back on. You know, you're the Resident Evil expert on the network for us. This has led to us covering now multiple Resident Evil games for our Games Club series. The Resident Evil 2 remake series is fully out on the free feed, so people can go find that wherever they listen to pods. Super NPC Games Club. We just wrapped up the Resident Evil 4 remake, which that'll probably be, my guess is about 11 months or so before that starts hitting the free feed. But you're a vet. We've done countless podcasts together at this point. You also, it comes up when we post it, and we usually talk about it at the top of a series, but you also make, you made all the art for our Patreon, and you make our each Games Club key art, and those are just some of the happiest moments in my life, are just seeing you send through a finished draft of those.
Yeah. It's been very fun to just like get to do fan art, for lack of a better like I get to draw characters that I already come in love. Interacting with somebody in almost a different medium.
Yes.
I do enjoy seeing a cartoon and a non-cartoon having a conversation.
Yeah, he's even operating, Dollman is the character's name, even operating at like a different frame rate than her and almost every other being in the game. This is, I think, that will make, I believe this is the 11th key art you've made for the Games Clubs, which is crazy. I believe it's 11. I'll go through the Rolodex real quick. We have Super Mario 64, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, Sonic Adventure, your personal favorite, RE2 Remake, Mass Effect, BioShock, Hollow Knight, Death Stranding 1, Control, Resident Evil 4 Remake, and then Death Stranding 2.
Death Stranding, wow.
But then we'll have an even dozen at whatever the hell we cover in quarter 4 this year.
Can I tell you that Pokemon key art has been incredibly valuable? I teach a cartooning class to kids, and you go through and you show them a couple pieces of art you made just so you can be like, look, I am an artist. You should listen to me. But then always where's the Pokemon? What Pokemon stuff have you drawn? And even though I'm not a Pokemon fan, I do get to show them the image of Big Fat Pikachu and tell them a little bit about the history of that
Oh,
chubby little rat.
I love that, dude. I'm glad it's had even more use outside of just being one of my favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite because they've all been
Mm.
so good, but I am partial to that chubby Pikachu, who I believe, I guess I don't have that in front of me, but oh, I think he's over there. Oh, he's up there. You modeled after a little like Pikachu toy that I had from the original run of Pokemon, where he is
Yes.
chubby. Anyway, dude, we're really quick before we open up even more about who you are and what you do. I want to go through your list of appearances on Call Me by Your Game. You've recorded.
Yes, very much so. We played the original Resident Evil 3 in college. And then when Resident Evil 3 Remake came out, Roxy and I were both at like our peak streaming. So we were like streaming it together and
That's
watching each
right.
other play through it.
Gosh, that was great. And an introduction of like now a dear friend of mine
Hmm.
who also collaborates with us all the time. You were then next featured on your first co-op episode 8, where we discussed NFL Blitz. Uh,
Oh,
it was like Super Bowl Sunday 2021 where we did this, where I think you, me, and two other people hopped on to just talk about our time with NFL Blitz. You were on co-op episode 40 where we discussed Firewatch as well.
mm.
Um, it's one of your more recent appearances on the show. And then on episode 222, you joined me for the top 10 games of all time, part 8,
Hmm.
where you, Roxy, and Michael Hearn I forced you to list your top 10 favorite games ever in order.
Uh-huh.
Herculean task. But, buddy, it's quite the resume, even just for the show.
Yeah. I've been on a lot. My favorite moment of that top 10 list was spending, hour and a half with all of you going through my 10 favorite games. And at the end, you were like, can you do a quick rundown of your top favorite games? And I just listed my top favorite Resident Evils.
Yes,
You
yes.
didn't specify. Yeah.
You really got me with that one. I love those. I think we've done 10 of those at this point. I try to wait three or
I'm do it routinely. And do you think there's anything harder in the world?
no, and I think it's not even just because of the obstacle of consistently finding time in your week where you can do it, especially with someone like yourself or even me,
Hmm.
where we have constantly our schedules are constantly fluctuating. We are spinning so many plates because we're artists who like to do so many different things.
Hmm.
That's a challenge. I'm also really inconsistent because I will like if I don't have something that like I have to be playing for a podcast that's at this desk, it makes it so much harder. And
Yeah.
when I do, even when I'm doing that, I'm in the back of my head is always a tiny little thing because our channels are similar where we've got some viewers at times, but
Hmm.
it's not like we're blowing up generally. So I'm always like, gosh, I could be doing anything else right now. I could just be playing
Yep.
a video game on the couch, actually. We have maybe clearly, maybe not clearly, we'll see how the Zoom video looks, been experiencing some funny connection issues, some computer wonkiness, but I'm back with McCollor as we were just, the last thing we were talking about, maybe the Zoom doesn't like Twitch. We were talking about your Twitch, and I think you just said twitch.tv/secret blimp. You were promoting your YouTube channel. Was there anything else?
No, that's the important stuff.
Okay. All
Also,
right.
if you're into Resident Evil games, check them out. They're
Truly.
available on major platforms.
If there's like one person who enjoys Resident Evil that should be viewed by others, it is you, my friend.
I think that's fair. Yeah,
Yes, you
I'm
have
I'm
fun
leaning
with
into
it.
that identity.
You're not even just playing the games to play them. You're finding new ways to play them and make them interesting for yourself. So
Yeah.
definitely check out McCaller. I'll have a link to his channels in the show notes. Before we get into a little bit of an update on your history with video games, will you do me a favor and tee up what we've brought on for the main event and call me by your game?
Absolutely. Listen, we're gonna talk the Resident Evil 1 remake from 2002, specifically for the Nintendo GameCube.
Awesome. Can't
Do you know how
wait.
weird it is to play a Nintendo GameCube Resident Evil game? Or rather, how weird it was in 2002?
Yeah, truly. And then it was almost like the way to do it, and then that all changed.
Hmm.
McCaller, at this point, and on this, for even on the free feed, this will make at least a version of all of the first three Resident Evils you've discussed. So
Yes.
this feels appropriate. But let's catch up a little bit more about your history in gaming. When we last had you on in early 2020, we really went through your origin as a gamer up until that point. But if you were able to put your finger on it, have there been any big changes in your gaming habits since that time leading up to today?
Very much so. Yeah.
Okay.
I assume I had a Nintendo Switch at that point and was doing a lot of portable gaming stuff. But over the last
Yes.
year, I've become a Steam Deck boy,
Ooh.
and it changes video games entirely. I pretty much just play games portably. Like I'm a bus guy. I don't have a car, so I'll hop on a bus and
Oh,
I'll like on Nintendo Switch, it was crazy to me the first time I was playing like I don't know, Super Mario World, which isn't a crazy game to play portably, but playing that on the bus felt wild. Now I think I'm playing any video game that has ever existed
yeah.
portably. I'm deep in that scene with emulators, emulating games I all
That's
own,
right.
but buying new games. Finally have access to Steam summer sales. I just replayed, and by replayed I mean played for the first time, Doom 2016
That's right.
portably, and it's the best game that anyone ever made. Like it's so rad to just have kind of one spot I can go to for all of my games, and then
Yes.
have if I'm gonna play something on a big TV, I got a PlayStation. If I'm gonna play a Nintendo game, I've got a Switch too. But boy, that Steam Deck is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, and it's only been in your life for about 7 months, right? That was a Christmas
Yeah.
gift.
Yes. Yeah. My
Gosh.
girlfriend surprised me with it. It was unbelievable.
Well, it's one of those gifts too where it's like, of course you would like it, but it's not necessarily, I don't remember you gunning for it necessarily.
I was doing I feel like, and you tell me if you did this in improv. So much of improv is like just taking your own opinions and filtering them through a comedy thing. One of my go-to bits for the longest time was if I ever at a split second's notice needed my character I was playing to have a great want. It was just whatever video game console I didn't have at the time. So I was a lot of times I would be doing a very serious scene. I was, in a scene with like I was a lawyer trying to get my client off, and they were like, "I can't pay you," and it's like, "It's okay. I'm going to need a PlayStation 4. That's really what
Yeah.
I'm looking for." That was my go-to thing that I wanted. So I eventually got every system I wanted, and I just needed another thing that was like higher
Yes.
up. So I was making a lot of jokes. It was like, "Oh yeah, our anniversary's coming up. If you wanted to get me a Steam Deck, that would be fine." But like I
I wouldn't
wasn't
be mad.
assuming, and I didn't
Yes.
think it would ever happen. And yeah, it was genuinely like a Christmas moment again
Yeah.
for me, like that I haven't had since I was a child. Like shocked to get the greatest gift, like a new system for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. You just
Cool.
planted that seed enough. That's incredible. Talking about the Steam Deck as well, what have been some like exciting experiences, whether it be a new title to you, something you're replaying, something weird you're doing?
I finally got to play Steam Deck is great for 3DS games. It's got
Oh,
these extra buttons on the back to switch screen layouts. If there's a game that you're just going to play full screen, you can toggle through making one screen bigger and one screen you can see just a little bit. I finally played through Metroid Samus Returns,
oh
which
yeah.
is an all-timer Metroid game.
Dude, how recently did you do this?
This was 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay.
And
Dude,
yeah, just blew through the whole thing. Couldn't believe how good it was.
I know you to be a huge Metroid
I'm a
fan.
Metroid head.
And that for the longest time was also a blind spot of mine. That game, I think it came out, it was one of those titles that was announced after the Switch had come out when the momentum had
Yeah.
already shifted.
Yeah.
And
I feel like it was announced like at the same time as Dread, wasn't it?
it was not at the same time as Dread, but it was announced as like an throwaway at like a Treehouse Live at
That's what it
E3
was. Yeah.
2017. And so it was kind of like, wait. They're burying the lead here. This is essentially a new Metroid game.
That's what it was. That was the one they announced Prime for with a
That's
logo.
what it was.
And
Yes.
then later in that treehouse, they were like, also a Metroid actual game is coming out.
Yeah, 100%. I remember I bought it on 3DS that September when it came out. I kind of fiddled with it and then fell off. And then finally in the like end of summer, fall of 2021, leading up to Dread, I kind of had like a Metroid renaissance where
Mm.
I played that game. I replayed Super Metroid.
Oh,
I think I had already played through it all the way, but that was or may have been my first full playthrough, but I played
hmm.
that. I played Prime. I had already played Fusion enough, so I didn't revisit it. But that was so. It's not my by no means my favorite Metroid game, but it's an awesome experience, and the improvements they made compared to the original release on the Game Boy are staggering.
Yeah, for real. No, I think Metroid Samus Returns is maybe my ideal Metroid, just in
Okay,
the sense that like we don't ever like she's Samus is labeled a bounty hunter, but we never really see her
sure, yeah.
hunting. If the whole game is about exploration, like it really gives you something to explore for beyond power-ups. You might find a power-up, or in the same way you're hunting stars in Mario 64, you just explore the area and you're looking for Metroids.
Did you just
It
come
makes
up
so much
with a
sense to me.
YouTube video premise that you should do?
What, tell me, because I'm
Which was exactly that, which is like, is Metroid 2 the like truest Metroid experience?
yeah. All context stripped away,
Yeah.
all the nonsense. Let's take Samus and go hunt
We
Metroids,
are a bounty hunter. Also, what an incredible audition for Mercury Steam to do Dread.
right? Yeah, no,
Incredible.
such a cool thing to like have a developer come in and kind of get Metroid so clearly
Yeah.
and add just enough. Like that little parry move that she has just feels so right. It's like
Yes.
maybe that's the first time Metroid combat was fun. Is
I
that
think,
possible?
you know what? There's an argument for it. I'll say that.
I listen, Super Metroid's one of my favorite games of all time. I don't love fighting guys in that
No.
game.
No, in fact, I have like no shame. Is it Croconaw? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong boss where like it like grabs you and all you have to do is use your grapple beam to like one of the electric things on the wall.
There's
And
like a Bumblebee boss.
yeah, and that's not the only way to kill it, but I would much rather do that than actually fight it.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
We're on the same page. But okay, so you played Metroid 2 Samus Returns, the 3DS
Mhm.
version. That inspired me to ask you some more questions, but did you have something else you were going to say before that?
No, that was the
Okay,
only
cool.
game I
Well,
played.
because I know you to be such a Resident Evil head and a revisitor of that franchise, is there another series that you also do that with?
Hmm.
Or is it kind of the one that you revisit the well on and everything else is, for the most part, new?
You know, it's not until you asked me that just now that I realize I do have this tendency with a couple other
Oh, okay.
franchises. Because something like the Donkey Kong Country Returns Tropical Freeze parodies, games,
Yes.
they're not parodies of anything. Um, I will play those every couple of years.
Yeah. As
And
in the like the two return, essentially the
yes,
returns in
Returns in
Tropical
Tropical
Freeze.
Freeze.
Cool.
Uh, I will do that with a lot of I play through Mario World at least once a year, if not
Yeah.
more, and
Yeah.
just blow through 96 exits real quick.
Dude.
Get back on my get back to my life.
And that's no slouch either. Like I love replaying that game, but I'm not about to go for that number.
Yeah, I like
Dang.
that's yeah. I guess I do that with a lot of Mario stuff. You know, Mario 64, I'll hit again and again.
Hmm.
Guacamelee is a series that I'll hit
Yes.
every 2 years. I'll replay and 100% both of those games.
That's awesome.
I have a problem.
Well, I
I have
wouldn't
a
call it a
problem.
problem. You have a trend or a habit that you do.
That
But
is
that
hurting my career and family life.
Hey, you're preaching to the choir here, buddy. That's that's awesome. Yeah, those are a few series that I know you two really enjoy. We've talked
Mhm.
extensively about Super Mario 64, you and I. I know you're a big Donkey Kong head. Did you end up you didn't replay Returns on the Switch too this last year when it got released, did you?
I didn't, but I did replay it on the Steam Deck, the
Heck
Wii
yeah.
version.
Yes, dude, that's the only version I've played.
That's the right
Yeah.
version. I think, especially when you can map the stupid things like
Oh,
blowing into your controller. You can just make that a
that's
button press. Dude,
that is awesome.
it's
Oh
cool.
my gosh. Incredible. I another question that I have for you is what has been a big surprise for you since your first appearance on the show, video game wise? Like
Hmm.
has something unexpectedly wowed you or just like captured your interest?
I do have the other series of games that, again, if I'm cycling through games, there are games that are designed to be cycled through almost
Yes.
endlessly. And I do have a big problem. I think Inscription was maybe the first one to do this. We made a joke about it affecting my family life and career. I have installed and deleted Balatro from my Nintendo Switch 3 or 4 times. Like I'll
Yes.
just reinstall it. When I got this Nintendo Switch 2, I was like, oh yeah, I have Balatro. Let's re-download it. And just a weekend is gone.
Just
And I
like
am up till 6 in the morning playing Balatro, and then I have to delete it for my own mental health. Yeah, that was shocking. I didn't think I had an addictive personality until, yeah,
yes.
Inscription was the first one. Marvel Snap. Did you ever play Marvel Snap?
No, but I know that you have played Marvel Snap.
It's That's probably the best game of all time.
Oh
It's
my
just like
gosh.
a really smart, interesting way to play a card game that's fun. And, I never spent any money on it. It was
Yes.
free,
Good for
but
you.
I deleted my entire account and then rebuilt it a couple of times. That's
Uh,
bad.
I love it, but it is a fun window into like what can happen to oneself if like discovering something that is just that tantalizing.
It is making me realize like I need to talk to somebody. I need to call a hotline.
We'll set one up for you, and I don't think it's going to be the Nintendo hotline. I have just a couple more questions for you. Forgive me if you've already brought this up, but what's been something that you've been playing lately that you feel like shouting out?
I brought it up a little bit, but Doom
That's
2016, and
right.
now I'm
Yes.
in the midst of Doom Eternal.
Okay.
Uh, Never been a huge first person shooter guy,
Hmm.
but the way that game flows and is funny about killing demons in a very brutal way. I'm having so much fun with Doom Eternal right now. Uh, I take that back. I take
Somewhere
that back.
Michael Hearn is just shedding a tear of happiness.
I texted him. I was like,
Aw.
dude, they were on the Steam sale. I got them. I can't believe it.
Ah.
Uh, I take that back. Doom Eternal is very fun, and I am in the middle of it right now. It's not as good as Doom 2016,
Okay.
which was the perfect balance of just like figuring out combat encounters, getting you into new combat encounters, killing guys a lot. There's a little more like puzzle solving, and it kind of slows down. In Doom Eternal, you're doing platforming. You can climb on walls, so you're like doing a lot of like looking around. Excuse me, looking around the environment, trying to find where to go, and it slows it down a little bit. But then you find a new arena full of demons, and we're right back in it, baby. We are shooting
Wow.
guys, finding new ways to rip their teeth out and stab them with them. It's very funny.
Dude, that's great. Perhaps a new beloved series for you.
I absolutely will be going back at least to that first Doom, and we'll see how the rest of Eternal plays out. But
Yeah.
I will absolutely be going back to it.
The early ones are another series that are constantly on sale on Steam. I think I even own the first three. Excuse me. Um, like I promise Hearn, I'm not bored by Doom. Don't kill me. Wherever you are. The first three I think I have on my Steam library, and they're often just on sale for like $2 or $3. But
Exactly. It cost me $15 for both of them
that's
for
incredible.
Doom and Doom Eternal.
Does
Crazy.
this have you at all interested in Doom the Dark Ages?
Very much so. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah. I actually don't even know. Did that hit PlayStation 5?
Oh, I think it did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
Because
want to
then
say
I'll
it's
pick it
on
up for sure.
that next box, I want to say.
Because I
Or
will
maybe.
say, um, Doom Eternal is pushing my Steam Deck to the limits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got a little bit of and I played a little bit of Hogwarts Legacy when I first got it
Hmm.
too, and it had a similar problem. There's like a glossiness to everything
Mm.
because it can't quite render the
Yes.
textures at the correct at the correct resolution. And, you know, we love that for it. We love it. It's trying. It doesn't look bad. It just, you can tell there's something just a
Yes,
little
I
off. So I
mean,
assume Doom the Dark Ages would fry it.
yeah, probably. And what you were just discussing about, the system doing its best, it's like how many games like that did we play on the original Nintendo Switch? And some
Yes.
Nintendo published games would like really struggled. So, that's incredible. The last question that I've got for you. Well, I actually have two. That made me have a question that's unrelated to games. Before I ask my final one, are you more of a fantasy or science fiction guy?
Honestly, neither. I
Oh,
kind of struggle with both. It takes a lot for me to get into a fantasy story. Like, I guess Game of Thrones is the only one I've ever really loved, but
yeah.
like Lord of the Rings, I like respect.
Hmm.
But fantasy, it's hard for me to get into. And science fiction, it takes a lot. That is
Yeah.
that this is a bad opinion to have. I want to be clear about that. I understand this is the bad opinion, but like science fiction, I feel like tends to prioritize a lot of plot and world building over character. And I
Okay.
know that's not true of everything, but like I do tend to check out of science fiction when we're getting into the specifics of a world building stuff
Sure.
and not hitting a character. Mass Effect, I think, is the only like
Hmm.
space sci-fi epic I really love. Even like I mean, like a couple of Star Wars, like, but I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're both settings that push me off a little bit. When we can get a modern day setting and there are sci-fi elements, now
Uh,
we're talking. That's
hence
I
Resident
think I
Evil.
need it to be it's Resident Evil. It's modern day, and one weird thing has happened.
Dude, that is the most unexpected answer. But I truly, in my brain, like, I don't think I could tell you for most of our friends that we are constantly talking about, games and other stuff with. I don't think I could pinpoint for everybody, oh, like, Nick is a fantasy person or July's a sci fi person. But it just
Right.
struck me that I also couldn't do it for you. So I had to ask.
Yeah.
Final question for you. What is a game that you are looking forward to playing? This could be something, McCaller, that's already in your backlog that you haven't gotten to, or it could be something that's about to come out.
Do you know what I'm gonna
I
say?
mean, actually, as soon as I even said that, I felt stupid for asking it. Ooh, ooh, It's Bonanza,
Ooh,
isn't it?
ah. Can I tell you? I'm maybe I'll even text you the picture right now. I
Oh,
came
please.
home from my job last night, late at night, and walked into my house, and there were yellow streamers hanging up on my door.
What?
And so I came in and found my girlfriend had made, okay, I just sent you a picture, a little Donkey Kong birthday party for me.
Oh my goodness, this is adorable. The
So she put a
coins.
yellow She put a yellow tablecloth on the table, put a bunch of bananas with little banana paper on, and then made some DK coins to hang from the wall. She was nervous because my birthday is at the end of this month. Donkey Kong Bonanza is coming out next week.
Yes,
She was afraid I was going to pre-order it myself. And so she said I had to just do this real quick so I can pre-order it for you and make sure I get you that.
that is so sweet.
It
Oh
was
my gosh.
adorable. It was very
Okay, now
cute.
you actually legally have to tell me exactly what day your birthday is.
It's July 30.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna literally putting that in my calendar because that's how I remember. That's how I knew July's is. I looked in my calendar and July's was in there. Perfect.
Interesting.
You're seeing me do friend business on the pod. Uh, okay,
This
cool.
pod is friend business, though. Let's be honest.
I mean, truly,
This is friend business, the pod.
no truer words have been spoken. Um, that's incredible. I'm so pumped for this game. I mean, as
Right?
both fellow huge Odyssey heads and people who love ourselves a Donkey Kong,
Mhm.
this is my expectations are very high, but I'm not worried about them being missed, really.
Right. And I went to this Nintendo Switch 2 event and played Donkey Kong
Oh, that's
Bonanza a
right.
little bit. It feels incredible. It feels like Mario Odyssey, except he's faster and
Yeah.
heavier and like can do more stuff. So like it feels great to play. Uh, that Nintendo Direct where they announced that Pauline was in it and that
Yes.
she's a little girl with a dream was like like made me tear up.
Aw.
Like, I was so
Yeah.
excited for the story. Even just thinking about Mario Odyssey had a couple of moments like towards the end when the Cap's like, boy, we had a really great journey together
Yeah.
that made me really emotional. Like this is gonna punch me in the chest.
Yes,
Kids with
dude.
Dreams is like top tier narrative devices for me.
Oh, for real. I know a lot of people I've heard some comparisons, maybe not a lot of people, but I've heard some comparisons to Wreck-It Ralph between
Mm.
the two pairs. And honestly, all I saw, I'm just like, this is just The Last of Us all over again. I didn't really feel like that. But that's the joke I wanted to make on the internet. Uh,
I'm so
incredible.
excited at the end when we're going to smash through all of Cranky Kong's surgery team to save Pauline.
Yes, and then lie to her about it. Funny enough, the day after this podcast releases, that game is going to be out. I
Really?
can't wait. It's going to be my first two hard physical Switch 2 game because I got Mario
Oh.
Kart digitally.
Mhm.
Did you?
I did not know. The only available Switch 2 was the non-bundle, so I
Gotcha.
paid the extra. What do we think it was?
It was extra
$1,000
I
for
think it
a
was
physical
$1,000. Yeah.
version of Mario Kart. But yeah, I do have a physical Mario Kart.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
gonna not get anything physical again for the rest of the Switch 2, I don't think.
Okay, cool. So this will be another digital purchase for you.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, well, McCaller, thanks for catching us up on some of your more recent history with games. It's so fun to me. Like, you are one of the people who, like, I'm so consistently talking about games with that I
Mm.
did not know what to expect or if I could even expect anything I didn't know, and I learned plenty. So,
Yes.
buddy, thanks for sharing. We're gonna go
We're
ahead
still
and
surprising after all these years.
look at us. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll finally get into all things Resident Evil, the remake. So, McCaller, I'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Call Me By Your Game. Connor McCabe still here with my guest, Michael McCollor, to get into all things Resident Evil, the 2002 remake. Mikey, hey, buddy.
Hello.
Like I told you before the show, we're gonna set the table a little bit with some context of what this game is. And if you want to jump in at any time to include stuff, please do. It might even sound inauthentic for me just to start monologuing from essentially the Wikipedia synopsis from this game's front page. But dude, I'm gonna
If we're a commentary team, you are play by play, and I'll be color.
Yeah, and we're gonna trust me, we're gonna need some color on this. But without further ado, here I go. Resident Evil, aka Resident Evil 1 Remake, is a 2002 survival horror game developed and published by Capcom for the GameCube. It is a remake of the 1996 PlayStation game Resident Evil, if you couldn't guess, the first installment in the series, and the story takes place in 1998 near the fictional Midwestern town of Raccoon City, where a series of bizarre murders have taken place. The player takes on the role of either Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine, who are both STARS officers sent in by the city and the RPD, Raccoon City Police Department, to investigate the murders. As far as just very basic introduction there, McCall, anything to flower or color up?
Uh, I do wish the story was as simple as that. That it
Yeah.
was like there are murders in the woods and you and you go investigate them. There's
Yes.
a lot of layering on top. Like there's a second team that is like worse than your team that flies out first and their helicopter is goes missing, and so you're going to find them. Then there are zombie dogs that you find. Like it should just be there was a murder in a mansion, you go to the mansion, you try to figure out what's going on.
Yes, and I mean at least the two Resident Evil games I've seen all the way through, there it is always much more complicated and I don't even say that in a derogatory way because those games are masterpieces, but I am not surprised to hear that there's a little more to it than what's on the surface. We here we go. Resident Evil was developed over the course of 1 year and 2 months as a part of an exclusivity deal between Capcom and Nintendo. This game was not a part of the Capcom 5, but it was, I guess, a part of like essentially this exclusivity deal to bring more games to the system.
Yeah, my understanding is that Capcom was mad at Sony for focusing so much on being a DVD player. And so they're like, we're going to go with the company that's just making a video game box.
Gosh.
Ridiculous now in retrospect, but like,
and unlike how Square essentially broke it off with Nintendo to
Mm.
partner up with Sony in the original PlayStation era and stuck with them. Capcom was like ends up abandoning the Capcom 5 deal. Even one, at least one of the games never comes out, and they're like, "Yeah, we're putting them out on everything."
There's a famous quote from Shinji Mikami, the director of Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 4. He goes, if Resident Evil 4 ever comes out on a system that's not the Nintendo GameCube, you can cut my head off with a chainsaw. And Connor, it was not 1 year later that it was out on PlayStation 2.
And he had his head cut off by
His head
someone with a
was cut
chainsaw.
off by a chainsaw.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, like you had already said, this game was also directed by Shinji Mikami, who directed the first game. I think when watching a little history video, I think there was a brief time where it was going to be directed by a different developer, a part of the team, but Mikami decided to jump in and do it himself. He decided to produce a remake because, in the simplest terms, not all of the context, but he felt that the original had not aged well enough. A lot of that was emphasized with the graphics, and that the GameCube's capabilities could bring it closer to his original vision. The game retains the same, well, it says the game retains the same graphical presentation. Well, I think what it means by that is that there are 3D models over the pre-rendered backgrounds and environments.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, in fact, the big thing is that it is a much better looking game.
Yeah, they're better pre-rendered backgrounds,
Yes.
to be sure. It really is like this secret sauce of like we always talk about how Super Nintendo games tend to look so much better than NES games or N64 games. I think if PlayStation 1 and then now these GameCube games have any advantage, is that these pre-rendered backdrops look about as good as they're going to because they could just put a photograph in whenever they needed to. This game still looks great on like there have been modern console remakes of it, and
Yeah.
it's gorgeous.
Mm. That's impressive because I think sometimes when I'm like revisiting an old game, like maybe a PlayStation 1 game with, pre-rendered backgrounds and 3D models in front of them, sometimes they don't always look good. So I'm glad to hear that this shines.
Yes, that's true. And
Incredible.
I think that's why this game was primed for a remake. Resident Evil 1 was primed for a remake so fast because even by like the jump from Resident Evil 1 to Resident Evil 2, you can tell they figured out how to get like higher resolution JPEGs in there or like
Incredible.
60 more polygons in the character models that really made the difference.
Yeah, that's amazing. The remake also features new gameplay mechanics, revised puzzles, additional explorable areas, a revised script, and new story details, including an entire subplot cut from the original game. Upon release, Resident Evil received acclaim from video game journalists who praised its graphics and improved gameplay over the original game. It is often described as one of the best, scariest, and most visually impressive entries from the series. However, the game sold worse than expected, leading
Uh-huh.
Capcom to change the direction of the series to a more action-oriented approach, in which the first iteration of that, Resident Evil 4, was ends up being something amazing, but it
Mhm.
continued down that path, didn't it, McCaller?
Boy, did it. Yeah. It's such a sad thing. Like, everybody. I was very excited to hear Resident Evil was going to Nintendo. I had been
Yes.
a Nintendo kid growing up, but like the GameCube didn't sell great. And so there was just like not like even Resident Evil 4 didn't sell great
Hmm.
as beloved as it was. It's one of the lower selling Resident Evils until it hit PlayStation 2 and then went on to sell infinite copies across its infinite ports for the rest of its life. But yeah, it does feel like it's just limited by the GameCube's install base.
Yeah.
It like was probably successful for a GameCube game, but
Yeah.
man, you can't justify a whole Resident Evil series on a system that sold
No. Yeah.
8 million copies.
And I guess it's just sort of the catalyst for why, until Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, until they went back to more of the roots of the survival
Hmm.
horror genre. Um, let's see. In 2008, this game was also ported to the Wii, featuring a new control system, of course. In 2015 was when the HD remaster was released and that's on so many platforms at this point. It's on the modern PlayStation systems. It's on Windows. It's on the Xbox 360 One and the current ones. It's even on the Nintendo Switch. Do you own it on Switch?
Boy, do I.
Nice.
I will say on Nintendo Switch 1, unplayable.
Oh,
Uh,
what about it so
I
bad?
was just talking about this on Nintendo Cartridge Society. Shout out Patrick Ellers. That was one of the first games I played on Switch 2 to see if it could be played. So this game functions with pre-rendered backdrops. You
Hmm.
click on a door and it shows you a door loading screen. On the Nintendo Switch 1, you would get a loading screen with like a little, they have the little like circle rotating, do not turn the system off when this screen
Sure.
is indicated. In Resident Evil Remake here, it is a little blood splatter that
Oh,
ticks up and
gorgeous.
down. You get a loading screen, you get the door animation, and you get another loading screen.
Oh, rough.
It's so slow. It's absolutely unplayable. And so I just touched it a couple of times.
Oh,
I remember getting it when I was at my peak, going to LA Fitness and bringing my Nintendo Switch
yes.
and
I remember
hopping
this
on the
era.
treadmill and just holding Joy-Cons and running, but needing a game that was like not action twitchy enough. So I
Yes.
played through a lot of the original Final Fantasy VII
Hmm.
that way. But I thought Resident Evil 1 was going to be perfect. And
Dang.
it sure wasn't.
Well, if you were to advise someone to play this game on a system, what would it be?
It I have been playing it again on Switch 2, so that is great. And if you're trying to play it portably, Steam Deck portably is great. That new remaster from 2014 is absolutely the way to go. It's
Okay.
so nice. It has both control options, so you can do old tank controls, which I love, but playing it with a joystick, it like eliminates any barrier to entry that
Okay.
I've spent my whole life hoping to get somebody over.
Yes.
I know
Uh,
I can't recommend my favorite game of all time to a lot of people because it just doesn't play good. It don't play good.
yes.
This one plays good.
Okay. Well, I mean, just having all this talk, I'm talking a big game here, but it does make me really want to play this, having played two and, well, the remakes of two and four.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So, anyway, McCaller, are there any other detail or table setting gaps you'd like to fill in before we finally get into your time with it?
I guess my big thing is thinking about this series as a PlayStation exclusive series and being a kid who didn't have a PlayStation and just like it being fundamentally unbelievable.
Hmm.
It was as I use this metaphor a lot, but it's like when Sam from Cheers would show up on Frasier. Like,
Hmm.
I know that it's possible, but it feels bizarre to see this character in this world.
Sure.
And the idea of playing a Resident Evil game on a Nintendo system, especially like a new one,
Yes.
like I just can't emphasize how crazy it was. I think this was the first Resident Evil I got like right at launch.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything else had been, because I didn't have the system, I was just like an orphan looking out the windows at the playground of kids with their parents, just like, wow, they get to play Resident Evil games right when they come out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, this game on a Nintendo system, wild. It's incredibly exciting to get a Resident Evil game at launch. It felt like magic.
That's amazing. I mean, that gets us into, it entering your life. As far as as much as I understand, you had already played at least Resident Evil 2 on, was it the PlayStation? Did you borrow that from Jake? How did you play that again?
I was borrowing a lot of PlayStations.
Okay.
I did eventually turn in my Nintendo 64 at GameStop to get a PlayStation,
Wow, what a
but that
moment.
was, it still kind of hurts my feelings that I did that, but I had to. I had to.
Yes.
I was not going to not own it. So I did eventually get all the Resident Evils, but it was after Resident Evil 3 was out for sure. Like I was
Okay.
not, there day one. I had played through. I don't know if I had played through the original Resident Evil at this point. I must have.
Okay.
Absolutely, I did. Yes, I did. Okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I take it back.
It's all
Don't
good. I
let
mean,
it.
we're
Don't
talking
let
like
anyone think I didn't play through it. Don't let anybody think that.
20 something years ago. Some of the finer details are hard to remember, so no worries whatsoever. Do you remember looking forward to this game coming out? Did you already have a GameCube?
I oh, as I'm talking about it, maybe I didn't get this game right on release. Maybe Resident Evil Zero was my first one I got right on release.
Okay.
I want Okay, so my first memory of playing this game, like I was reading about it in EGMs, and listen, I'll show you this. I found it not too long ago.
No way.
I think this is the EGM. I'm holding up a copy of EGM featuring the Resident Evil 1 remake. I want to say this is the exact issue I had that I was reading about it and like couldn't believe what I
Oh
was
my
seeing.
gosh.
That Resident Evil was going to look this dark and this realistic and this scary. Scary. I don't think I had a GameCube right at launch. I maybe
Sure.
didn't have this game right at launch. But I went over to my cousin Colin's house.
Okay.
Colin, I always have referred to as like my functional little brother. We were like best friends growing up. He's, 2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And he had a GameCube. And I've often talked about like Resident Evil 2 being this game that like my friend's dad, Mr. Jake,
Mr. Jake.
he was playing it. And so therefore it was like, oh, I'm kind of an adult if I'm playing these Resident Evil games. This sort of like feeling of being an adult. Resident Evil 1 Remastered came out right at the time when you kind of are starting to become an adult for me.
Yes.
And so Colin had his GameCube, and it wasn't until I was thinking about the first time I played this game. There's almost a point in childhood where you have your childhood bedroom. Did you ever have a friend whose room became the basement or room became the attic?
I definitely have friends who had this sort of setup. Yes.
I realized how like kind of quintessential that is to growing up. I mean, the
Yes.
Brady Bunch was doing it. When Greg got the attic room, it was like, oh my God, he's a person.
Brady
My
Bunch
cousin,
reference on this episode.
as we could have expected.
Of course.
A lot
of
of Brady
course.
references in
Yeah.
Resident Evil 1 Remake. Colin, my cousin, had gotten the basement as his room.
Wow.
And it was like not quite finished. It had carpeting, but it was still very much a basement. It still
Yeah.
had like his parents owned a music store. So there were a bunch of like really high-end guitars all around. It was like a weird specific, like we weren't playing them at that. Well, actually we were in a band. We must have been playing them, but we had our own. We had our
I
own guitars.
see. Interesting.
So we would go over for band practice, but then he had a GameCube and he bought Resident Evil Remake. And I just remember this first weekend, spending an entire weekend. Like, I think I could drive at that point. So I
Yeah.
drove over there. I was all on my own. He had a pool, so we would go swimming for a long time. And
Oh
then we
my
would go down
gosh.
into the basement and play this Resident Evil 1 remake. And nothing's been scarier. Nothing's ever been scarier.
Dude, even just setting the scene with all of that, man, it is bringing me back to like some of those very special moments, pre-adulthood when you are a kid, essentially having your entire summer to yourself and you can just go spend a full day, maybe multiple days with your best friend. Like I think about my best friend growing up, Eddie Martin, and like I'm imagining being at his house where your day, it's not like you have such limited time to where like, oh, I'm going over to Eddie's house and we only have time to like play a game. No, you're doing band practice, as you said.
Uh-huh.
You're going in the pool and you're playing game. You're probably having dinner at some point.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the sort of settings I'm, of course, most nostalgic for. It's why part of the reason why I host the show, but I love you setting the scene like this.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like I didn't realize how nostalgic I was for this time until just thinking about it again.
Yeah.
But it really does feel like it's your first chance to taste adulthood.
Yes.
It like you're seeing things that like I feel like the original Resident Evil 2, like I was peeking into the adult world, and this
Yeah.
was like I was living in it. I could do whatever I wanted, and it's shocking how similar my life is to that today.
Oh, that's great.
Slightly more work being done, but not that much more.
Yeah.
And yeah, just playing a game for as long as I want. And yeah, this idea of having a chunk of the house to your own that felt like it was so separated from the parents and that you could kind of just spend like you didn't even have that like I don't know how much your parents were doing the like, are you guys going to just play this all day or are you going to go outside? Or
would get
we need the
comments, for
TV.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get like some sort of interference. Down
Yes.
in the basement? No, no, no. They don't remember you're there.
Dude, that's cool. There's almost a like you were saying, a peek into well, not a peek into adulthood, but a taste of it, in the sense that like there's a little autonomy there too.
Hmm.
And I don't even know if it was like, oh, the parents fully trust him to just have this space. It didn't matter. It's just like that was his space and the space you guys would be in. And so it was just kind of like you weren't beholden to as much, maybe, the whims of, like, I don't know, family's agenda or whatnot.
Absolutely not. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could just be on your own. Always ordering pizzas,
Ugh, you gotta.
but
Um,
still drinking soda, like not drinking yet.
oh yeah, no way.
We were like still too afraid to be doing any of that like actually bad kid stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
This is great. This is really setting the scene in such a fantastic way. I'm going to ask more specific questions about all of this context, both broad and specific, in a bit. But when you think about the game itself, Resident Evil, the remake, from now on, if I'm saying Resident Evil, I'm giving myself the permission to not feel the need to say remake.
Okay.
When you think about those early moments, maybe that first weekend with Resident Evil, what comes to mind about the game?
One very, very specific memory
Ooh.
burned into my brain. Uh, in the OG Resident Evil, in all three of the previous Resident Evils, the combat mechanics, you hold your shoulder button, you jam the X button, you shoot at a zombie, three, four shots, they fall down, they get up, you run over to them, or when they're down, you can shoot them some more. And the understanding was if you shot them enough and blood pooled out from their body, that would mean they were dead and they were not
Okay.
getting up again. And then you would want to like clear the hallways that you were going to be going through multiple times. Uh, the Resident Evil remake introduces a new mechanic to that,
Uh-oh.
where you're playing the game and you're fighting zombies the way you're used to fighting them. Maybe 8 to 10 handgun bullets to kill them for good.
God.
And then you progress through the game and you end up finding one key that gets you into like the back house. And then you go and explore that a little bit. And then you end up coming back to the mansion again. And on the second mansion trip, any zombie that you killed stays there. Their
Oh, I
bodies
see.
just stay there. And they introduced this mechanic where you can fill up your tank with kerosene. You get a little hip flask of kerosene and a lighter, which takes up 2 inventory slots. So like nobody's using this. That can go right to hell. And I'm like, what do I need to do this for? I already killed him.
Yeah.
There's a moment when you go down this one specific hallway and there's been a body there that you didn't even kill. It was dead when you first got to this part of the game. And you go up and you're like, this zombie's going to get up at some point. And you run down this long hallway. And right before you get to the door, the zombie gets up. And you think he's going to shamble towards you as zombies do. And so we were just like at the end of the hallway. So we knew we just had to click the door to get away from him. And Colin was going to say, like, the zombie's like slowly walking up. He was like, I am the hunter and you are the prey.
Uh-huh.
But this fucking zombie gets up and sprints at you.
Oh no.
And so Colin goes, I am the hunter and you are the prey. He screams the thing he was going to say.
It happened so fast, mid-sentence, it changed it.
Yes. It was so scary. We jammed the button. We're like, what was that? He's not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
That's not how zombies work in this game. They end up being called Crimson Head zombies. It's a mechanic they only used in this remake, in Resident Evil 1. If you don't burn the zombies' bodies, all those zombies you've been killing your first tour of the mansion will get up and like run at you. And they like swipe at you with claws. It's so scary.
Oh
And
my
so then
God.
their official name is Crimson Heads, but whenever we see them, we would call them I'm the hunter, you are the prey. It's
Yes,
like, well,
that's-
we can't go down that hallway. There's an I'm the hunter, you are the prey there. So we got to go around this back hallway, or we got to get out our shotgun.
I love when an inside joke is clunky, but it means so much to you that you're still gonna put it in there. Like you could have such a shorter name. You could just say there's the hunter in there, but no, it meant it was like so funny to you two or so meaningful that you're like, we're saying the full phrase?
I do think it might have like influenced my sense of humor because
Yeah.
I write that kind of joke a lot.
Okay.
We were talking about this narrative podcast I'm making. It's about characters in hell,
Yeah.
and their names are like the Fallen and the Whisper. And when other characters are talking to them, they're never just like, "What's up, Whisper?" They're like, "What's up, the Whisper?" Like it's funny to me to say the entire name of somebody.
Yes.
Throughout, and nobody else finds this funny, but I keep putting it in like everything I write. I do in this moment realizing it comes down to how much I enjoyed calling these zombies I am the hunter, you are the prey.
That we're seeing the moment where everything just like explodes from. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, foundational personality bricks.
Yes. Oh man. I love that. I love that you can even remember a specific moment from your gameplay. Were there other game details that stood out to you or that really captured you at that time too, especially maybe being a remake?
Absolutely. This game, I think it's there were other remakes before this game, I guess.
Yeah,
But
there had
it's
to
like
have been. Yeah.
this Resident Evil remake, like is the perfect example of how to do a remake because everything that's in the original game is there, but it's twisted just enough that there's either one more hurdle you have to get through or there's a new twist on it that you didn't
Yeah.
expect. So like um one thing I remember pretty early on, the original Resident Evil has its like the first time you're going through the mansion, you're looking for four crests: a sun crest, a wind crest, a moon crest, and a something else crest. And in this remake, they replaced those four crests with death masks,
Oh, interesting.
and they make a meal out of it. Like it's kind of unclear when you get your first sun crest that this is like one of the four main items you're looking for.
Hmm.
They add a whole nother room in this remake. There's a graveyard. There's a bunch of extra doors, and like you know how every Resident Evil, you've played enough of them now. Well, Resident Evil 4 doesn't really have it. Every Resident Evil that takes place in a location has like an iconic entryway.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, Resident Evil 2 has the RPD main hall.
Yep.
Resident Evil 1's main entryway is probably the most iconic, and there's just a bunch of new doors in it. Like
Okay.
that feels crazy. That feels
Yeah.
like we kind of talked about it a little bit in like the Mario 64 Games Club, how it felt like why couldn't I jump into anything and find something secret that was there all along, but I wasn't supposed to find? Like that's what these extra doors all feel like.
Yeah.
But if you can picture this first entry hall, there's like main steps, and then there's two staircases that branch to the left and right.
Hmm.
In the remake, when you go up those first steps and there's like a flight that you land on, there's another door there. And it feels like this main central door. You go through it, you find a little graveyard in the back. It leads outside into a small graveyard. And in this graveyard, you have to solve one brand new puzzle. You have to go find a green arrowhead to put it in, and then a stone moves aside. You go down into this dark cavern, and you get a little book that explains the death masks. And so it's like this giant task that you're going to be doing for the entire game. There's this really cool new setting that really tells the player like this is an important thing you're doing. Pay attention. It's like well lit. It's like a torture chamber.
Yeah.
And so
Huh.
once you get down there, oh, this is like hard to forget as in terms of a place to come bring my death masks. I know it like almost more clearly what my objective is. So it's like, and those crests also are in the game in a weirder, stupid way. Like you find one crest, you put it in a grave, the grave turns over, and there are three more crests that you just pick up right there and put them in another grave, and you get a magnum. But like everything from the old game is there, but it's all new enough that it feels like anything could happen.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't imagine another like it's how they handle these Resident Evil remakes now. Like there's enough surprises, and like they know the dog's gonna jump through the window in this iconic scene. In this remake, the glass breaks, but nothing comes.
Yes.
So you're like, oh, I guess that's not happening. Then you
Yeah.
run past, and then it's your second trip through that the dogs finally come. So it's still surprising, but it's all the same.
Yeah. It's okay, that's making me think of a few things. The first of which is like, it sounds like this is a game that is not only can stand on its own as like a great title for any new player, but for those who have played the original, it's even more satisfying and rather more than satisfying is rewarding.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And they talk about it. I was just rereading this EGM magazine. They were like, we were just going to do new graphics,
Yeah.
but it didn't feel good. It didn't feel cool. So we started
Interesting.
adding all these other ideas.
Dude.
Uh, not just gameplay. That's something that I almost paused you on in the recap, but like there's a new storyline that was cut from the original game that shows up in this
Mhm.
game that is probably the scariest and worst
Oh,
idea. I mean, worst in terms of like what happens to a character, like the
yeah.
meatiest, most emotional story in a Resident Evil game.
Dang.
Uh, and I'll tell you this, one of the big rumors going around is that this monster that comes out of this storyline, I'm almost afraid to spoil it because now I want you to play it and I would
Yeah.
love for you to experience it. But like the rumor is that the monster from this story is the main monster we've seen chasing the protagonist in Resident Evil 9.
Oh my goodness. Now,
Yeah.
well, that would be a payoff.
It would be really cool.
Oh, and just beg so many more questions.
Uh-huh.
I love that. I mean, hearing you talk about this game and thinking about how much, we both enjoy the remakes of 2 and 4 really makes me hope that there's more than meets the eye to this Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta remake. I'm personally, I'll tell you what, I'm not interested. I don't think there's anything really, at least at launch. There's nothing about that I've seen about it yet that makes me intrigued. And I hope that my lack of enthusiasm and excitement is going to be, I guess, subverted is the thing I should say, or there's
Hmm.
surprises for us. I know you've played. Did we talk about 3 together? I know you were on the episode about Metal Gear Solid 4 on the Games Club.
Yeah, I've played them all,
Oh,
and
okay, so
Metal
you're
Gear Solid
familiar.
3 is my favorite one,
It's
I think, but
great.
I have that same feeling where I'm just like, I don't know, maybe I'll play this. I
Yeah.
think I've read in interviews that they're like, this is just one to one. We have just remade this game with good graphics.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much been my understanding too from by word of mouth. But anyway, I kind of got us off track here. Um, I want to dive into a little bit more about the context that we were discussing to start off. And the first question I would love to do is you've already sort of started describing this basement. Can you finish out scene painting it a little more? I want to know about
Yeah.
like the furniture you would have been sitting on or lack thereof. I want to know about where the TV was set up, if there was any light that came in. Give me the deets here.
Okay. We've got one of those little like just where the ceiling meets the wall, kind of like well windows.
Okay,
Only
yeah.
source of light. Only
Yes.
source of natural light. Two little cubes
Are we
through which
in,
sunlight emanated.
forgive me, McCaller, are we in Colorado?
We're in Minnesota.
Minnesota, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Uh, we've got two little cubes with sunlight. We've got a mattress on the floor.
Okay.
We've got a television on the floor, but like one of those big CRTs, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like not quite the giant, like a 35-inch, whatever that 30-ish
Yes.
diagonal screen was.
Pretty big.
Uh, Pretty big. We had the GameCube on the floor next to it.
Cool.
Orange Spice.
Ooh, nice. Cultured.
We had an infinite supply of Mountain Dew.
Okay. Original, I guess.
Original.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And then we had wet piles of clothes.
From the
I
pool?
just remember there were like piles of clothes because we were like swimming, so we were like
Yes.
changing in and out really fast.
Yes.
Uh, and
No
then
time
just
to be wasted on wringing them out or setting them somewhere.
putting them in a hamper. In
Yeah.
my memory, the wet clothes are sitting on the carpeted floor.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, so we had one mattress on the floor, one air mattress next to it, and between it, a pizza box opened.
Dude.
Uh, and yeah, laying on our stomachs on our individual mattresses, like dialed in, like playing on our
Yes.
stomachs almost exclusively.
Yes, elbows helping you balance a bit. A classic technique there is to put a pillow beneath your elbows to like give yourself just a little extra time
I
to
like
lean
that.
in that direction. I find at
In
this
my
age,
head, we were
dude,
like, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I find at this age that is a hard position to maintain for a long time, and it's mostly the elbows that bother me.
Yeah, my lower back is always in some various sort of like we're trying to take care of it today.
Yeah. Oh man.
Uh, I feel like we had the mattresses just far enough away that we could be like our eyes could be very close to the TV, but like our elbows could drop down to the floor.
Okay.
So
Cool.
like our bodies were on the mattress and then we were leaning
Interesting.
forward on elbows. And then the other thing, very cool, giant Marshall half stacks and guitar cases littering the
Okay.
floor. There's some sort of memory getting, I don't know if it was here at this point, because I also worked at my aunt and uncle's guitar store, and this guitar was often for sale. They had the most expensive guitar in the store was $5,000, and it was a guitar that had just like a neck, and then the body of the guitar was the shape of the continental United States. It had like the stars and stripes
Of
on the
course.
cover.
Yeah.
And you can guess what my aunt and uncle's political leanings are today.
Yes.
And at some point, for a long time, that guitar was in like a shadow box down in the basement. And I
Uh-huh.
don't remember if it was at the time when we were playing GameCube down there or if it was later, because it also was at the music store and always hanging up and like
Interesting.
getting dusty because nobody's going to buy that or
Yeah.
even like look at it. But there's a non-zero chance that a $5,000 United States of America guitar was on the wall beside us to our
It's
left.
it's nice to know you had a protector watching over you during these long days and these late nights. I love the
But
description too. It's giving such a Midwest basement to have those sort of windows up there.
yeah,
For some reason, the basements because I had to, most of my family, we maybe talked about this, is from the St. Louis, Missouri area, and their basements as well. It's like every house is kind of on a little slope, so like like
yeah,
it's not like everything is perfectly underground, but the basements I've been in California rarely have any view to the outside world. You're like under the house and underground.
yes.
Yeah. Sorry, there's a bit of a sidetrack detail, but I just loved hearing that from you.
No, no, no.
Um,
We got to know where we're playing. And it really was the perfect atmosphere
yeah,
for this game. Like, even just thinking about that one window well and like the way the sunlight beams in is just like in my head, it's in the Resident Evil 2 remake, like the RE engine.
yeah, that's
Like,
great.
I can see it
Yes.
rendered.
You have already given us an incredible specific story about playing this game. So what I'd like to know a little bit more about is, do you remember any other vague or specific details about your life at this time? Whether it be like,
Hmm.
oh, I don't know if it was the same era, but you mentioned working at the guitar store. I don't know if there was something you were involved in, but I wanted to open that up to you.
Yeah, I had just gotten my driver's license. I was in that period where you're having your first jobs,
Cool.
and the music store very much was one of my first jobs. And I left that job to work at Hollywood Video.
No way.
And that was like the dream job for a minute.
Yeah.
And I just remember there was like an assistant manager who worked there who was like a veteran. And they had a policy that they like had to hire veterans, whether they were, good fits for the job or not. And he was just
Sure.
like this guy who was just like a half inch shorter than me and just like yelled at everybody.
Oh,
They,
great.
like,
Yeah.
uh, so I just had something where like I was going to work and was working with this guy, and it was like one of those like you're filling in at a different Hollywood Video across the state and you're driving around and I couldn't find it. And eventually I was just like, I can't make it. I can't find it. And I drove back to I was like hanging out at Collins, drove to my Hollywood Video shift, couldn't find it. I was like, I don't care. And then I drove back to come play more Resident Evil. And just like getting calls from this guy who's like, you're gonna be fired if you don't come in. You're gonna be fired. I was like, man, you gonna do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
There's a
Go
new
for it,
Resident
pal.
Evil remake, and the zombies are faster now. I don't know if you quite grasp what's going on here. I don't know if you know where my priorities lie.
Yes, it's they are the hunter, I am the hunter, they are the prey, dude.
And
Um,
I ended up being the hunter for that guy because then I remember he was like the assistant manager,
mhm.
and the manager above us was like, this guy was forced on him. So when he had this little experience, he called me. He was just like, I don't know what that guy told you. You still have a job. I would love you to come in and file a report because I need some official
Oh, okay.
records about what kind of guy this guy is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's nuts, dude. Um, we have gotten awesome details about, what stood out to you about Resident Evil. We've gotten great life context details as well. Before I ask you to wrap up your thoughts and put a bow on this, are there any details from either of those columns that you want to share, whether it be game or context related, that we just didn't get to quite yet?
Um, yeah, I think what was so like surprising about this game coming to Nintendo systems was how committed it was at the very beginning. So like not only did they release Resident Evil 1, but like within a year, I want to say Resident Evil 0 was out,
Wow.
and like within a couple months of that they had ported Resident Evils 2, 3 and Code Veronica.
Dang.
And so for the longest time my GameCube collection was just 5 Resident Evil games.
And then you were considering getting Wind Waker.
I gave it some thought. I
Yeah.
do remember, I feel like Mario Sunshine, whenever that came out, was my
Oh, sure.
first non-Resident Evil game. But even then, I was
Cool.
like, this game, why am I not fighting zombies and collecting cress?
Yeah, I could be fighting
Where are all the
zombies.
cress?
Here I am fighting the controls, or rather the bugginess of Mario Sunshine. Sorry. So you were just saying it was kind of a golden era as a Resident Evil fan for the most
You
part?
could consolidate. We had Code Veronica on the Dreamcast at that
Mhm.
point. Like you had to have multiple systems if you wanted to play all the Resident Evils. Now it's all available on GameCube, and that was cool. I
Yeah.
had these copies of these GameCube games up until I moved to California in 2009,
Oh,
and remember hanging out with some friends. One of my first meetings with a friend of mine now, I remember he came over to my house and saw my video game collection, and physically all I had were GameCube and Resident Evils. And he's like, "So you ever played a game that wasn't Resident Evil?" And not realizing
how
like what an insight into
dare.
my character
Yes.
he was hitting.
That guy saw you for everything that you were in that moment,
Uh-huh.
McCaller.
And I
That's
married him.
Yes. That's awesome, dude. Well, McCall, to sort of close this conversation out, can you do your best to sort of put in, a sentence or two, put a bow on what place Resident Evil held for you?
It's hard to describe because I love the original Resident Evil a lot.
Yeah.
I love Resident Evil 2, I always say is my favorite game. And it and its remake I love equally. But like there's something about this Resident Evil remake that like when I'm listing my favorite Resident Evils, I'm always like I list them all and then I'm like, damn, I forgot to rank Resident Evil 1 remake, and it's either number 1 or number 4. Like it's
Yeah.
in the top 4, and I just never remember it. It's just it's so like it's one of the few games that like breaks me out of my binary thinking. Like it's very easy for me to be like, yeah, Resident Evil, I go Resident Evil 2, 3, Code Veronica, like rank them
Yeah.
very clearly. And Resident Evil 1 I kind of can't rank
It's almost
because
like an
it's
anomaly or something.
yeah, it's so good. It's so different. Like it's too good to be left off the list, but it also just feels like a surprise every time I remember it.
Hmm.
It's one of the Resident Evil games that, I've obviously played it 100 times, but I don't remember it super well. The fact that there
Yeah.
are 2 Resident Evil 1s makes me a lot of times go like, I know I'm supposed to do this. Is that remake or is it this game?
Yes.
And uh especially with this game because there's so many extra steps to a lot of the puzzles. There's stuff they added. I get lost a lot. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? I know I have the music, but in the PlayStation one, the music is all you need. In this one, you need the music and the extra sheet of music to
Interesting.
combine, and so you have more music to play. It's I don't know, it's the greatest game there ever was, and it's one of my 302nd favorite games of all time.
I love it. Well, McCaller, thanks for bringing this game on. That was so much fun to hear from you about your history with it. To before we officially close things out, I've got a couple of post-show segments prepared for you. The first of which is the Fact Me by Your Game segment, and that's where I'm just going to share one fun fact with you about this. It almost felt there's only been one episode where I fully omitted this segment, and that was when Courtney came on to talk about Hades, because I was like, I'm not going to tell you something about a game you worked on, and
Yeah.
also a game that she has put hundreds of hours and is an expert about. It almost felt like doing that with you, McCaller.
Okay.
But
But listen, I want to hear it again. I want to hear new. I want if it's a there's this these games are always new to me, and therefore
yes.
these facts are always new to me, even if I knew them.
That is reassuring. Well, the one that I brought on for today, I have titled Resident Actors. Now, this comes from a Resident Evil preview article done by GameSpot all the way back in March 17th, 2002. Now, do you know anything about the people who were portrayed as the character models for Jill and Chris in this game?
In this game,
Yes.
not really. I want to say Julia Voth is Jill, but I don't know about Chris.
Well, first of all, the fact that you even knew one of them is impressive to me. That's incredible. I was going to be surprised if you didn't. Yes, so that is correct. So, in creating the models for Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield, Capcom auditioned actors to be used as reference by the character designers. The audition was not made to promote any particular celebrity, but so no popular actors were selected. It doesn't say that no one auditioned, but that's a detail that's we can't quite suss out. But
A
about
young
six,
Raven Simone,
yeah,
really
was going
showed
out
up.
for Jill Valentine. I guess about 60% of and again, the people who were cast, which were Julia Voth, who's a Canadian model, and stuntman Matt Mullins was cast for Chris Redfield. They only used for the like models and some motion capture. It says here about 60% of the motion capture for the character's animation was based on the data that they collected from the motion capture sessions, but was manually tweaked, while the rest of it was apparently made from scratch. So they were doing scratch animations based off of the character models. Probably, I would assume, as well, the positions they were in when this information was captured. But yeah, Julia Voth is Jill Valentine's character model. There's a different voice actor, and same Matt Mullins is Chris Redfield. They also both would reprise their roles as the character models in a few games in the future. I don't have them written down here, but I know they both were in Resident Evil 5, and at least one or two more for each actor.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you anything about them outside of this. But
I
I will
feel
say,
like
go ahead after you.
I feel like they do. At least Julia Voth. The reason I know her is because she streams Resident Evil
Oh, really?
sometimes. Yeah, and maybe even streamed with the current Jill Valentine, who played her in Resident Evil 3,
Oh, that's
Nicole
cool.
Tompkins. So I there's a bizarre thing going on with Resident Evil actors. One of my favorite YouTube channels, Residents of Evil, just got together the cast from the PlayStation original, from like the
Whoa.
FMV,
Yeah.
and they're making a new like fan film starring them like after
Dang.
all these years. Like there's something about Resident Evil actors that they keep coming back to it. They keep being involved in the series.
Yeah. That's interesting. This is totally unrelated, but I was looking at on the Resident Evil wiki, on Julia Voth's page, it lists some of her acting work through like 2016, and apparently in 2014, I don't have the name here, she was in a series co-starring with the actor Harlan Williams. Do you know who Harlan
I
Williams is?
I do, yeah.
Rocket Man is what I know him most from, but he's in plenty. I think he's in Dumb and Dumber as well. He's in plenty of stuff, but that is the first person I ever saw do stand up in like summer of like 2011 in Pasadena at the Ice House, and he was absolutely hilarious. Anyway, that's it for this fun fact. I'm gonna leave a link in the episode citation section of this article from GameSpot. McCaller, we've made it to the final segment of the show, the game recommendations. Now,
Hmm.
you may or may not remember that this is my one forced tie-in to the movie Call Me by Your Name, where I'm going to treat Resident Evil as your passionate summer fling that is unfortunately not going to work out. So, in
Mhm.
your heartbroken state, I'm going to try my best to introduce you to three potential new flings to help you get over this just absolute devastation. But what I need to know first is, McCaller, are you ready to get back out there?
Always. My heart's wide open.
All right, I love it. We haven't had that kind of enthusiasm in a while. I have three recommendations for you, all with something in common with this title. If what you really want is another damn fine remake of a classic game
Mm.
that already stood on its own, I'll recommend to you The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch. Did you ever play this
Okay.
game?
I did.
Oh man. I mean, then you might know, I don't even know if you liked it, but I, as someone who loved the Game Boy version, or grew to love it, this remake I feel like is also has such great strengths on its own, but it, at the same time is still got the bones of that classic. Yeah, do you like this game? Do you not like this game?
I
I'm gonna
loved
guess you
it.
don't.
No, I loved it.
Oh, huge, huge, huge.
Yes, I played it when it came out, and I genuinely don't remember if I got it physical or digital, so I might still have it.
Yes.
Uh, I loved it. I love this game. I had
Yep.
never played the Game Boy one, and so this was kind of my opposite Resident Evil. Like I didn't know what they were
Oh,
changing, and yeah, just enamored with it. It's one of my favorite Zelda stories for sure. I reference the heartbreaking twist at the end of
dude.
this a lot.
It's great. It's in my personal top five favorite Zelda games. It is a game where I like you, I had like dabbled with the Game Boy game on the Virtual Console, but I played the remake all the way through first. And then for the Zelda Games Club, I actually replayed the remake and the original.
Mm,
And I was so surprised that I loved the original so much because
hmm.
of how great the remake ended up being. Anyway, that's your first recommendation.
Okay.
The second recommendation is if you're still just Capcom till you die, I've got to have you play one of the Capcom 5, and that's Killer
Oh,
7.
oh my God.
Have you played this
That's
game?
interesting. I've never touched it.
McCaller, I've never touched it either, but it's one of the ones that was released on the GameCube, and it's like maybe Capcom still can do it for you after Resident Evil.
Oh, I'm looking it up right now. I don't even really know what kind of video game it is.
I want to say it's an action adventure with shooting elements, but let's
Okay.
see. I'll be honest. I was like, oh, surely McCullough knows everything about this game.
Yeah,
Let's see. A
almost nothing.
2005 video game, action adventure developed by Grasshopper and Capcom, published by Capcom for the GameCube, and it also came to the PS2. Let's see. Who is the who made this game? Well, Shinji Mikami oversaw the development of it. It says Killer 7
Interesting.
takes place in an alternate version of Earth in the early 21st century. After a treaty ends all international conflict, the world powers destroy all nuclear weapons by firing them into the upper atmosphere and intercepting them with other missiles. This event becomes known as fireworks and symbolizes world peace and to the general populace. In an effort to combat terrorism, pandemic disease, and cyber terrorism, the International Ethics Committee shuts down all air travel and public use of the internet. And what's the and a new terrorist group called Heaven Smile appears, targeting the United Nations. And the members of Heaven Smile are humans who have been infected with a virus. They must be the Killer Seven, that evokes the desire to kill. Uh, Anyway, action adventure game with some shooter elements. A first person shooter, rather. Huh. Anyway, that's your second recommendation, McCollar. Um,
Connor, this game is 75% off on Steam right now. I just added it to cart.
oh, he is open to getting over heartbreak, folks. He put his money where his mouth is.
I'm vulnerable.
Please, at some point when you touch it, let me know what you think.
Okay, I will. Yeah, yeah.
Whether it's great or awful.
This looks weird.
Yeah, it
I
sure
think it looks
does.
too weird.
Oh, final recommendation for you is if you're playing as Jill Valentine in this game, and it's the beret. The beret is everything. It trumps the gameplay. It trumps the iteration. It trumps the time in your life, and you must play another game with a character wearing a beret. I'll recommend a game in a series I know you love, Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, because
Ah,
Dixie, she wears that pink beret all the time.
she does wear a pink beret, and she's a real hero, just like Jill Valentine.
Exactly.
Doesn't quiver in the face of fear. No, she takes a
No.
baby on a journey.
She absolutely, yeah. Oh God, Kitty Kong. Um, do you like 3? I've only ever dabbled with it.
I do ish. It was my main Christmas game one year
Oh,
and was very excited about it. But even I could sense there was something a little, I don't know, scary about it.
interesting. It's just
I
there's a
almost,
giant baby with you the whole time.
it's, it feels dark.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is
Huh.
necessarily, but it does feel like there's also like a lot more secrets that you have to do like in the overworld to like
Okay.
open up the secret worlds and stuff that I remember, yeah, scaring me as a
Dude.
child.
Well, you know what? You're gonna be able to get scared again because it's one of your recs. To recap the list, we've got the Link's Awakening remake from 2019, Killer 7, and Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. That'll do it for the segment, and that'll bring us to the end of the show. So before we plug and get out of here, McCaller, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to do
Oh,
this. This was awesome, just chatting with you about another Resident Evil that you love.
you're never gonna escape me talking about Resident Evil. It's
And,
like
and at this point,
we're
I
gonna
don't
be in
want
an
to.
old folks' home and we're gonna be talking about, dude, remember when Resident Evil 13 came out? You
Oh my
didn't.
gosh.
That was the one that really surprised us.
Yes. Let's just cross our fingers that we get to 13 by the time we're in a home like that. And that we get to be in a home like that together.
And then we get to be, yeah.
Oh, buddy, on your way out, I know we plugged your channels and stuff up top, but what do you want to plug on your way out?
Yeah, again, just youtube.com/ at secret blimp. Check out any fun, silly comedy stuff coming up there. And probably
Incredible.
Resident Evil streams will happen at
Yeah.
some point in my life. That feels like the thing I am
I
destined to do.
I bet it will happen, and I'll be popping in while I'm like on my lunch break or just like at my
Uh-huh.
computer for a few minutes. Well, dude, thanks, sir, for plugging that. I'll put a link to it in the show notes and everything else that I am about to plug. The cover art for Call Me by Your Game is done by Glenn J. You can find a link to his Instagram in the show notes. The show is produced, edited, and the original music is done by a little fellow named Jeremy Schmidt. So if you
Aw.
want to thank him for his hard work on this show, please check out his podcast, Video Games, a comedy show, something that McCaller and I are featured on every so often, and that's also a part of this network. You can follow me on my social media handles at Blue Sky, Instagram, and Twitch. Those are all in a link in the show notes. You can also follow the show on Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. Please check out, there's a whole video version of this episode that you just listened to. So,
Whew.
pretty poor advice to tell you that at this point, but if you want to listen to the next episode and watch it on YouTube, go and give us a subscribe there. The episodes are great. You can see what we all look like and how beautiful our smiles are. You can also follow the network, Super NPC Radio, on our social media handles as well. And then, of course, last but not least, patreon.com/Super NPC Radio is the place to go if you want to support us and get bonus video game podcasts for your support. Again, like I said, there is everything from a free tier all the way up to who knows how many dollars. So if you hop in the free tier, by the way, we'll give you a link to the Discord, and you get voting privileges on our games clubs at the $1 tier, and there's bonus stuff at everything, though. But yeah, check us out there. There's a link in the show notes if you are interested. But that'll go ahead and do it for another episode of Call Me By Your Game. We will see you on the next one.